Hello, English learners. Welcome to English Candle2's special Island Adventure Trilogy. We present 3 stories at different levels. For A2 learners, Stranded Shores, Alex's Island Beginning, Simple Scenes and Basic Vocabulary. For B1 learners, Uncharted Shores, Emma and Lucas's Island Quest, richer dialogues and survival challenges. And for C1 learners, Island Crucible, Marisol's Odyssey of Transformation, complex themes, deep reflection, advanced vocabulary. Each chapter will help you expand vocabulary, sharpen listening skills, and practice speaking. If you enjoy this journey, please like, share with fellow learners, and subscribe so you don't miss any episode. Ready? Choose your level and let's dive into the adventure. Chapter 1: The Storm and the Island. Alex is a young traveler. He sails on a small boat across the sea. One night, a strong storm comes. The wind is loud. Waves hit the boat. Alex feels afraid. Water fills the boat. He tries to steer, but the storm is too strong. Suddenly, the boat hits a rock and breaks. Alex holds on to a piece of wood. He drifts on the waves. Next morning, Alex wakes on a beach. The sun is low. He is safe but alone. He looks around. There are trees and sand. He is stranded on an island. He checks his body. He is not hurt badly, but he is tired and hungry. Alex feels worried, but also calm. He decides to explore the shore and find food and water. Chapter 2: Finding Shelter and Water. Alex stands on the sand. He feels the sun. He is thirsty. He needs water. He walks along the shore. He finds a small stream of fresh water. He drinks carefully. Now he must find shelter. Alex explores inland. He sees palm trees. He finds leaves and branches. He builds a small shelter near the trees. The shelter has a roof of leaves and walls of wood. It is simple but safe from sun and rain. Alex lights a small fire with dry wood and stones. He feels warmer in the evening. He cooks fish he caught from the sea. He tastes salt and fish. He feels hopeful. He rests in his shelter at night, listening to birds and waves. Chapter 3: Exploring Deeper and New Friend. Next day, Alex explores deeper into the island. He walks carefully. He hears birds and insects. He sees footprints in the sand. He follows them and finds a small hut made of wood. Inside, he finds simple tools: a knife, a bowl, and a blanket. He wonders, who lived here? He leaves a mark. He writes, "Alex was here," on a piece of wood. He moves on. In the forest, he hears a voice. "Hello?" He is surprised and a little afraid. A boy appears. His name is Ben. Ben is also a castaway from another ship. Ben looks friendly. Alex says, "Hello, I am Alex.
"Are you okay?" Ben nods. They share water and food. Alex feels happy to have company. They decide to work together. Now Alex is not alone. He learns new ways. Ben knows how to climb trees and catch fruit. Alex teaches Ben how to make a fishing line. They both feel safer and hopeful.
Chapter 4. Challenges and Teamwork. Days pass. Alex and Ben build a larger shelter together. They collect wood, leaves, and vines. They make a raised floor to stay dry if it rains. They learn to share tasks. Alex fishes, Ben climbs trees for fruit and coconut. They explore the island by day. One afternoon, they see dark clouds. A storm comes again. They hurry to their shelter. Rain pours. They light a fire inside under a small overhang. They stay dry. Next morning, they check damage. Some branches fell. They repair quickly. They feel proud. They talk by the fire. We can live here a long time if we work together. They feel strong. But sometimes they feel lonely for home and family. They talk about memories. They support each other. They use their skills to make life better. They collect fresh water, fish, gather fruit, and make simple maps of the island on sand. Teamwork helps them feel less afraid. Chapter 5. Hope and Rescue. Weeks pass. Alex and Ben live by the routines they made. One morning, Alex sees smoke far away. He tells Ben. They build a signal, a large help sign on the beach with stones and wood. They light a big fire to make smoke. They hope a ship will see it. Days go by. They keep the fire ready each morning. One afternoon, they hear a ship horn. They wave leaves. The ship's crew sees them. A boat comes. Alex and Ben are overjoyed. They board the small rescue boat. On the ship, they rest and eat. They feel happy and grateful. Alex thinks, "I learned many skills. I found a friend. I am stronger now." As the ship sails away, Alex looks at the island. He waves and remembers lessons, courage, teamwork, hope. He knows he will never forget this island and the friend he made. Chapter 1. The Unexpected Voyage. Emma had always dreamed of adventure. She joined a small crew on a research vessel to study marine life. One afternoon, clouds gathered on the horizon. The crew grew concerned. A sudden storm struck. Winds howled and rain lashed the deck. Emma secured equipment, but a huge wave capsized a small boat the crew was using. She was separated from the ship and drifted on a lifeboat toward an uncharted island. At dawn, she awoke on a rocky shore. The main ship was nowhere to be seen. Emma felt anxious yet determined. She checked her supplies, a flashlight, a pocket knife, and a water bottle half full. She decided to explore the shoreline to find fresh water and shelter, hoping for rescue, but prepared to act on her own if needed. Chapter 2. First Discoveries. Emma follows the shore, stepping carefully over slippery stones. She finds a small stream flowing into the sea. The water is clear. She fills her bottle and drinks. Feeling revitalized, she explores further. She notices footprints in the sand, not human footprints, but animal tracks. She follows them briefly and discovers a shallow cave. Inside, she finds dry wood and some fallen leaves, good materials for a fire or shelter. She also spots shells and driftwood that might be useful. As evening approaches, Emma builds a small fire near the cave entrance. The flames crackle, and she feels safer. She roasts a fish she catches with a makeshift spear. After eating, she sits quietly, listening to the waves and birds. She thinks, "Tomorrow, I will explore inland and maybe find signs of people or more resources." She falls asleep, feeling cautious but hopeful. Chapter 3. Inland Adventure and Challenges. The next morning, Emma leaves the cave early. She ventures into the island's interior. Tall trees form a canopy overhead, and the ground is uneven. She must be cautious. Roots and rocks can trip her. After some time, she discovers a small freshwater pond surrounded by ferns. She drinks and fills her bottle again. While exploring nearby, she encounters footprints that look human. Excited, she follows them deeper into the forest. Suddenly, she hears a voice calling for help. She rushes toward the sound and finds an older man, Lucas, injured after a fall from a fallen tree. Lucas explains he was also shipwrecked weeks ago. Emma helps him bandage a wounded leg using clean cloth and antiseptic from her small first aid kit. Together, they move slowly to a safer spot where Lucas can rest. Emma shares food and water. Lucas tells stories of his attempts to signal passing ships. Emma realizes that teamwork will increase their chances of survival. They agreed to combine skills. Lucas knows how to identify edible plants. Emma can organize fire and shelter improvements. As dusk falls, they build a more substantial shelter with 2 rooms, one for rest and one for storing food. They feel relieved, but no challenges lie ahead. They need a plan for rescue. Chapter 4. Plans and Setbacks. Emma and Lucas agree to try building a signal tower on a hill they spotted earlier. At first light, they climb a gentle slope. The hill overlooks the sea. They gather stones and driftwood to spell "help" on a flat rock surface visible from afar. They also collect green leaves to create a contrasting sign. They prepare a pile of wood for a large signal fire. However, unpredictable weather brings heavy rain that night, washing away parts of their sign and soaking their firewood. They feel discouraged, but Lucas reminds Emma, "Setbacks are part of survival. We must adapt." The next day, they rebuild the sign with heavier stones and cover firewood under leaves. They also improvise a simple rain shelter using large leaves and branches. Their morale improves. They practice keeping watch each morning for ships. Emma reflects, "Even when things go wrong, we learn to be more resourceful." They continue despite uncertainty. Chapter 5. Rescue and Reflection. After several days, Emma and Lucas maintain their signal and keep watch each dawn. One morning, Lucas spots a distant sail. They quickly light the fire and wave brightly colored cloth. The ship alters course and approaches the island. A rescue boat comes ashore. Emma and Lucas board the vessel, exhausted but elated. On the way back to civilization, they share their story with the crew.
Emma reflects on her experience. She learned resilience, teamwork, and self-reliance. Lucas adds that hope and careful planning made the difference. Back home, Emma writes in her journal, "This journey tested me, but I discovered strengths I did not know I had. I will cherish these lessons forever." She plans to share her story with students to inspire them. The island remains in her memory as a place of challenge and growth.
Chapter 1. Arrival and Awakening. Marisol awoke to a relentless swell lapping against driftwood, her senses reeling from disorientation. Having been swept away during a research mission in turbulent seas, she found herself alone on an unfamiliar shore. The dusk light cast long shadows across the sand, and distant gull cries punctuated the heavy silence. As she gathered her wits, Marisol surveyed the surroundings: tangled mangroves, jagged rocks glinting with sea spray, and dense foliage beyond. Fatigue threatened to overwhelm her, yet an undercurrent of resolve surfaced. Despite the palpable isolation, she experienced a curious exhilaration, an awareness that this abrupt detachment from civilization might reveal aspects of herself previously unexplored. Retrieving a half-submerged backpack, she inventoried its contents: a tattered journal, a water purification tablet, a stub of a headlamp, and an emergency ration bar. Each item represented a fragile lifeline. She resolved to reconcile fear with agency. Tonight she would secure shelter. At dawn, she would chart the terrain. In that liminal hour between panic and possibility, Marisol confronted the profound question: who am I when stripped of all familiar anchors?
Chapter 2. Adaptation and Self-Reflection. Over the ensuing days, Marisol labored methodically to transform the raw environment into a provisional sanctuary. She scavenged driftwood to fashion a rudimentary lean-to, reinforced with broad banana leaves to shed nocturnal downpours. Each morning began with a ritual. She collected dew-laden water in a makeshift trough, filtered it via charcoal from earlier fires, and recorded observations in her battered journal. Nights were reserved for introspection. By the flicker of embers, she chronicled memories of home, juxtaposing past certainties with present ambiguities. Isolation, she realized, had catalyzed an intensified self-awareness. Latent fears surfaced, but so did latent strengths. She confronted doubts. Was she resourceful enough? Yet every small triumph, a functional rain barrier, a steady fire, imbued her with burgeoning confidence. At times, solitude felt oppressive, yet it also granted freedom to ponder deeper questions. What values truly matter when stripped of societal expectations? While the island's rhythms dictated her schedule, Marisol gradually embraced an adaptive mindset, one that balanced caution with curiosity. She resolved that when rescue arrived, whenever that might be, she would return irrevocably changed, carrying insight she could scarcely have gleaned otherwise.
Chapter 3. Encounters and Ethical Dilemmas. Several weeks into solitude, Marisol is startled by footprints leading to a concealed shelter where she discovers Elias, a marine biologist from a different expedition. Elias has been living here for months, sustaining himself through careful foraging and makeshift aquaculture in tidal pools. Their initial meeting is cordial, yet guarded. Each recognizes the other's competence, but is wary of sharing limited resources.
As dusk falls, they converse around a shared fire. Elias recounts narrowly escaping a supply ship that never returned. Marisol recounts her own ordeal. Soon, a moral quandary emerges. A fragile supply cache, dried fish and purified water, lies beyond their combined reach, but harvesting it would deplete resources that one may need more urgently than the other. They debate, should they cooperate fully and share equally, risking scarcity, or prioritize individual survival? Through dialogue, they weigh principles of fairness, trust, and sacrifice. Ultimately, they agree to collaborate on extending food supplies, Elias teaching Marisol to cultivate edible seaweed, Marisol improving water-gathering techniques. Their alliance, forged amid ethical tension, underscores a deeper truth. Survival entails not only physical endurance, but moral resilience.
Chapter 4. Community Building and Conflict. Over time, Marisol and Elias's cooperative efforts yielded incremental improvements: a fortified shelter, diversified food sources, and rudimentary signaling mechanisms. One dawn, they discover another castaway, June, whose manner is brusque and secretive. June has survived alone by hoarding supplies and avoiding contact. Suspicion arises. Should they welcome him, risking disruption, or maintain exclusivity to preserve scarce resources? Marisol advocates empathy, recalling her own isolation. Elias cautions prudence, citing the fragility of their systems. June's integration tests their nascent community. He contributes unique skills, knowledge of medicinal herbs, but his reticence breeds occasional friction. A crisis emerges when a sudden injury befalls Elias. June hesitates to share critical remedies immediately, fearing depletion of his own stock. Tension escalates until a poignant confrontation by the fire. Marisol confronts June about solidarity versus self-preservation. In that exchange, June reveals past betrayals that fostered his mistrust. Through vulnerable dialogue, they negotiate boundaries and mutual obligations. Gradually, a more resilient communal structure emerges, founded on transparent communication, shared responsibilities, and contingency planning. They recognize that forging community entails navigating conflict and reconciling individual traumas with collective well-being. Chapter 5. Rescue and Transformation. At long last, a distant silhouette of a vessel appears on the horizon. The trio coordinates an elaborate signal, a polished mirror flash, a layered smoke plume, and strategic placement of reflective objects gleaned from debris. As the ship alters course, the emotional crescendo is palpable. Relief intermingled with a bittersweet recognition that their island Odyssey is concluding. During the voyage back, each reflects on personal metamorphosis. Marisol contemplates the paradox of solitude, how enforced isolation had both stripped and fortified her identity. Elias, once meticulous to a fault, acknowledges the necessity of flexibility and trust. June, scarred by past betrayals, experiences a tentative optimism toward communal bonds. Upon return, they confront reintegration into society. The familiar now feels foreign, and they must reconcile public personas with their transformed selves. Marisol decides to compile a comprehensive account, melding empirical observations with introspective insights to share with colleagues and broader audiences.
Their ordeal becomes a catalyst for advocacy, marine conservation initiatives, discussions on mental resilience in extreme conditions, and ethical frameworks for collaborative survival. Thus, the island remains not merely a site of hardship, but a crucible forging enduring change.